4 weeks the warm Californian sunshine had offered Prince Harry and Meghan a protective haze of normality, yet a single ping in the Montecito morning air shattered that calm. There, nestled between reminders for Archie's judo class and Lilibet's playdate, was a terse briefing note from London, an advance copy of coverage revealing their newest overture to the House of Windsor. The Duke of Sussex had dispatched a formal invitation to his father and brother, urging them to attend the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham. Within minutes, British news desks blasted the story worldwide, framing it as a grand olive branch. Within hours, courtiers in Buckingham Palace were fielding questions they had desperately hoped to avoid for another year. If accepted, the invitation could yield the first public meeting of father, heir, and spare since the late Queen's funeral. If rejected, it risks cementing a break that even senior clergy now privately describe as close to irreparable. Either way, the clock is ticking, and it ticks loudest for King Charles, who must decide whether duty to veterans or loyalty to his consort takes precedence. Aides in London insist Charles had no prior knowledge that Harry would time his announcement to collide so dramatically with Queen Camilla's 80th birthday weekend, penciled long ago for a glittering Windsor Thanksgiving service and a televised concert on Home Park. That timing, they say, feels less like an olive branch and more like a poisoned dart. To pick the same weekend is a message, groans one senior planner. And not a friendly one. At Clarence House the dilemma is described as excruciating. The monarch is patron of more than 300 service charities. A snub to Invictus could be read as a snub to wounded warriors. Yet eclipsing the Queen's milestone, one she reluctantly sacrificed for years while the late Elizabeth reigned, would be equally unthinkable. Compromises swirl in corridor chatter, a short video tribute for Invictus, a pre-recorded birthday address, or an aircraft hop between events. None fully satisfy. William's fortress of silence. The Prince of Wales is said to be even less inclined toward compromise. Courtiers recount a single frost-rimmed sentence allegedly uttered after reading his brother's press release: "We won't negotiate on the front page." In other words, no reconciliations staged for cameras, no summit conducted under Netflix lighting. Friends defend the stance as pragmatic rather than spiteful. William believes privacy is built on trust, explains a former equerry. He does not trust that a private conversation will remain private, so he declines the conversation. Behind the scenes, he channels energy into his own veterans outreach, commissioning a rapid-release mental fitness toolkit with help for heroes in a move some insiders call a parallel answer to Invictus. Camilla'S protective circle. While the king hesitates, Queen Camilla'S camp exerts quiet but firm pressure. According to multiple palace sources, she views another public royal reunion, particularly one engineered from across the Atlantic, as an avoidable stress for a monarch still receiving cancer treatments. Her approach is not overt veto, but relentless practicality, security risk assessments, schedule clashes, the optics of overshadowing her own landmark birthday. One aide summarizes her case: "Why fly into a storm you did not create?" Critics argue Camilla privately resents Harry's portrayal of her in his memoir, and sees little benefit in offering him fresh proximity. Supporters counter that her duty is to shield her husband, not to carry the emotional labor of mending a father-son rift forged long before she married into the family. Sussex calculations. In Montecito, advisors spin the invitation as pure goodwill, noting that Harry always envisioned his adaptive sport tournament as a unifier. Yet nobody in California denies they were aware of Camilla'S birthday plans. One publicist even concedes that global headlines are inevitable when royal diaries collide, and headlines keep Invictus top of mind for sponsors. That pragmatic media logic fuels palace suspicion. Is the olive branch genuine, or just another storyline for the couple's next documentary slate? Government caught in the middle. The British government, wary of being sucked into royal soap opera, nonetheless has logistical skin in the game. The Home Office will foot the bill for extra security should senior royals appear in Birmingham, while the Cabinet Office frets over overshadowing a potential election campaign. Defense chiefs privately lobby Downing Street. Invictus is a Crown-approved event regardless of family politics, and top brass fear morale damage if uniformed heroes watch empty royal seats. Historians draw uneasy parallels. Veteran royal watchers see echoes of the mid-1930s, when Edward's private choices bled into public duty and forced the palace to weigh image against affection. Then, as now, the nation faced economic strains, political turmoil and a monarchy under relentless scrutiny. But Edward's crisis played out over months, notes constitutional scholar Dr. Lydia Fenwick. In the social media age, each new leak detonates in minutes. Hook, imminent deadlines. Final venue diagrams for the Invictus closing ceremony are due before the end of autumn. Windsor contractors require a green light on gala staging by early winter. Translation: the king must declare intent well before Christmas, or risk spiraling costs and diplomatic embarrassment. Subscribe now. The moment that palace press release drops, we'll dissect every line live. Possible scenarios taking shape. Scenario 1: Dual attendance. Charles divides the weekend, visiting Birmingham on Friday, returning to Windsor for Saturday's birthday spectacular. Pros: honors veterans, preserves Camilla'S evening spotlight. Cons: 70-something cancer patient faces grueling logistics, tabloids still run split-screen coverage. Scenario 2: silent acknowledgement. A pre-recorded royal video plays at Invictus, William remains absent, Charles never leaves Windsor. Pros: minimal travel, Camilla center stage. Cons: appears chilly, amplifies speculation about family fracture. Scenario 3: surprise summit. Private father-sons meeting in a neutral venue before events begin, no cameras, but statement released after. Pros: narrative of healing, shared focus on service. Cons: leaks almost guaranteed, any perceived snub to Camilla invites fresh headlines. Scenario 4: complete royal no-show. Both king and prince skip Invictus. Pros: crystal clear boundary setting. Cons: international backlash, potential donor attrition, Harry positioned as aggrieved veteran champion. Public sentiment tilts. Recent polling by Ipsa Mori suggests the British public remains broadly sympathetic to the Invictus movement, yet divided on the Sussexes' tactics. Half of respondents under 30 favour Charles attending. Among over 50s, support drops sharply, many echoing the sentiment he's done enough. That generational split underlines the Crown's communications dilemma: appease younger audiences without alienating its traditional base. Personal stakes. For King Charles, the decision arrives at an emotionally loaded crossroads, balancing national duty, spousal celebration, and paternal conscience while confronting his own mortality. For William, it tests the boundaries of forgiveness and the durability of the monarchy he will someday helm. For Harry, the games stand as a legacy project, yet risk becoming a stage where family fractures are replayed before the very veterans he hopes to champion. Somewhere in a Kensington Palace outbox, reportedly sits a draft response addressed to the Duke of Sussex. It has been edited, re-edited, then quietly shelved while senior courtiers await the king's final decree. Will that envelope ever leave the palace walls? Until ink meets postmark, Britain's most famous brothers remain worlds apart, their next handshake postponed by protocol, pride, and the ticking hands of the royal diary. Stay with us, because when that envelope finally moves, history will move with it.